All right, councillors, I apologize again for that. I will not be turning on my camera, but I will be vocal here. So I call this session of CUSA Council into order. I believe that the Vice President has now done the land acknowledgement. We'll move in. Do I have a motion to begin? Motion to call into order.
Sorry, Nathaniel, I don't mean to cut you off, but we haven't done the land acknowledgement yet. We're just waiting for you to show up.
Oh, I see. All right, Farouk. If you would like to do that, I know you had performed it last time, but I may go ahead with that. So I'll call this meeting into order and do the land acknowledgement now. We now gather in our specific places. CUSA is based on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation, which is of course unceded. So we will now move into a motion to convene this meeting. If we can have a motion put forward, please raise your hand if you'd like to move the motion. Liam Lowe, seconded by Tinu. We will now have a vote. Please raise your hands if you are in the affirmative. Please raise your hand in the negative. Abstention. The meeting is called to order. Now we will move on to agenda item 1, announcements and correspondence. Please raise your hand if you have an announcements and/or correspondence. No announcements or correspondence. Moving into the approval of the agenda, do we have a motion to approve the agenda? Please raise your hand if you would like to move that. Emily, seconded by Jordan. Please raise your hand in the affirmative. All right, in the negative. All those abstaining. All right, the motion passes. Point 3 on the agenda, the approval of the past minutes. If all of you have had an opportunity to read those, I'd like a motion to approve the past minutes. Moved by Emily, seconder. Again, Jordan. All right, those in favor, please raise your hand. Those opposed. Those abstaining. The motion passes. We'll now move in to item number 4, the President's reports. Madam President, you have the floor.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I know it's a busy time of year, and this is our before last council meeting, so it's always a pleasure to be with you. I'll go through some updates. First off, divestment, ongoing efforts there. A lot of behind the scenes work, getting documentation from the university about what they've actually been doing in terms of their investor engagement, where they actually have their money. So that's a long process. And I also met with SHARE, with the climate officers, which is the organization running the university's efforts with other universities to be responsible investors for the climate crisis. So that was a productive meeting. I'm also working on a video series. You probably saw a few of them with some students talking about current Indigenous issues, pipeline, stuff like that. So check it out. We're also in the process of making kind of a summary of everything we've accomplished this year in divestment, not just to pass on to the next executive team, but also because other universities have reached out to us to understand how we've made this much progress in just a year, because you know, we've done stuff that it's taken other universities years to accomplish. So that's actually well underway. We also had the student government lunch today. I know a few of you were there, but just to summarize, it's looking quite clear that the university will have a somewhat hybrid approach to the fall and almost back to normal approach for the winter. So if you are in classes with less than 60 people or so, you can expect to have some of those in person. And then the other thing was that the university is currently working on kind of a rebrand. So they'll be putting out feedback forms on the new logos that they're considering. Definitely check them out, because I think it would be helpful for us to share our opinion. My team and I weren't 100% sure if the university is quite going in the right direction with their new logo. So definitely participate in the consultations. Moving on, Minwajia, tomorrow is the last day. I have been working on some of those efforts under Tinu, who's leading the campaign. But one thing I did was host the live with Alika, who's an Inuit student. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. It was a great event. We're also working through our anti-oppression working group to implement CUSA's policy around ensuring everyone, staff, volunteers, execs, have anti-oppression training. So that's well underway as well. Over the past month, I participated in Provincial Lobby Week with CFS Ontario and had some great conversations with MPPs from the government and from the opposition about OSAP, rising tuition, mental health, etc. I also got to meet with an Ottawa City Councillor, Sean Menard, and we talked about vaccines that are rolling out throughout the summer in Ottawa, as well as his efforts for divestment at the city level, as well as renovations that are happening at the Sunnyside intersection. So you can expect there to be a lot of changes there, which I'm personally quite happy about, because I know students personally who've had accidents there, or pedestrians especially. So they are bringing in more protection for pedestrians and cyclists at that intersection, which is really nice, because it's the one as you enter school. And finally, I was on the Talking Raven podcast last week. Check it out when it comes out. It's the university's podcast. Now for the month ahead. Minwajia, final event tomorrow. Autumn Peltier will be giving a keynote at 6 p.m. And if I can just take a moment of your attention to really encourage you to come out. This is a really big honor for us to have someone as well known and celebrated as Autumn Peltier, who at only 16 years of age has spoken at the UN, met with the Prime Minister, and is an activist for clean water, land protection, Indigenous rights. So make sure that you register if you haven't yet, and please tell your friends, share the posts. We're also running a giveaway right now for the VIP meet and greet afterwards. So if you're interested in meeting Autumn, make sure you register or you participate in the giveaway. Finally, my team and I are wrapping up our platform promises, very close to completing everything that we can considering the virtual circumstances. We'll also be working on our end of year report. A sustainability guide that I've been working on with the climate officers will be coming out as well for student groups. I am also looking at doing, as I mentioned, some student union meetings with other student unions on how they can move forward their divestment work across the country. Tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. I'll be doing yoga on Zoom, so you can check out the link for that in our link tree. Finally, transition report writing and planning is underway. I had a call with Matt today, so we're looking at finalizing the structure of our transition to begin in May. I also am looking at meeting with the electoral office just to kind of conclude and recap on everything that went down in our most recent elections and referendum. And finally, I am working on collaborating with CSCS and SciSoc and other student groups on promoting Nimbus tutoring as we approach final season. So if you're looking for a tutor, check out Nimbus. And I think that wraps it up. As always, happy to meet, chat, answer any questions, collaborate, and don't forget to register for Autumn Peltier and let your friends know to come too. That's it for me.
Thank you, Madam President. We will now move on to item 5 in our reports, which are Vice President's reports. We will now move to the Vice President Finance. Mr. Vice President, you are recognized. You have the floor.
What is going on, everyone? Thank you, Mr. Chair. I hope everyone's having a good March. Warm weather, right? Love that. Apparently, we're supposed to get like, I got my thing over here. I'm looking at you guys here. I'll move you over. There we go. Apparently, we're supposed to get like 10 centimeters of snow like in a couple of days. So that's not thrilling at all. But I will move on to my report. So this past month, actually today, we had a Shopify and CUSA event, a networking event. So we were able to host some students to come in, talk with one of the staff at Shopify, whether that's about recruiting, how to kind of prepare yourselves for the job market, especially getting kind of like some of those big tech companies, everything else under the sun, really. So it was pretty good. We had a lot of students engaged with the event. So it's good to see that. We also had a student care fee review. So they just kind of like review the claims and kind of like assessments over the year. And the good news, actually, we were looking at some of the historical data and on this year. And in the last 10 years, our fee hasn't increased beyond inflation, which is actually super rare, but it's very good, which means that our plan is at like a stable kind of like between claims and usage. So good to see that. Empower Me as well. So we got some updates there. And we're actually one of the top 3 users in all of Canada for Empower Me. Carleton has used over 1,300 counseling hours through Empower Me, and this is equated to over $200,000 in value of services. So we have seen an increased usage, and we've seen students, referring and actually, telling other students about the service. So we do know that they do see some benefit there. So it's always really good to kind of like see that data and see that students are using those services. We'll scroll down to ongoing projects. So another thing we have coming up is get your money's worth. So I mentioned at last council is I'll be hosting a financial workshop or a webinar on Thursday, April 1st. Not a joke, actually on April 1st. I don't know if anyone got that, but it's okay. So yeah, we're hosting a finance workshop April 1st. And whether you need some help with, thank you, Jordan, need some help with taxes. So we have Travis coming in and he'll be running a session with me on taxes and credit score. So that'll be about things to know when filing your taxes. If you have any questions, comments, concerns regarding your taxes, as well as credit score. So a lot of students don't even know what a credit score is, and many have kind of like ruined theirs before they find out. So again, providing that opportunity. And then at the end of the night, these each will be 30-minute segments. I don't know if many of you use TikTok. Apparently a bunch of people do. But a guy named TikTok, his name is Robert on there. He's a professional financial analysis and super great guy from what it looks like of his content. Very kind of like educational with the stuff he does. So we actually brought him in as kind of like a keynote speaker, and he will be again chatting with students about taking those first steps, whether it's about what does a TFSA to okay, I actually want to start investing. What can I do for myself? So it'll be a super fun event. Thursday, April 1st. All of you should come out. Another thing I'm working on as well that I mentioned kind of like here and there in the past is remote financial software for CUSA accounting. Not as much fun stuff, but basically just working with software solutions to review and potentially implement new software for the next year. So we do have kind of like one we've kind of like hopefully going to go for. So we're just kind of like working with them. The hardship fund as well. So we've distributed over $77,000 of funds to students in need at Carleton. And we've utilized other under budgeted areas and the Giving Tuesday donations for this additional funding because we only set aside $45,000. So really good to actually see this money going, direct release to students. So, and then for the month ahead, I'm just going to wrap up the entrepreneurship fund with Hatch. Again, I believe we have about $10,000 in there that we're hoping to receive and assign the funding before our end of term. And then that just leaves transition for the new executive and also exam season. So if you have any questions, comments, feel free to reach out. As always, you know where I'm at.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. We will now move to point B under point 5, the Vice President, Internal Affairs. Farouk, you have the floor.
Thank you, Nathaniel. Not really much going on. Past months, I met up with Sam, who's working out of the Clubs and Societies office. Kind of just discussing awards and how we want to go about it this year. Obviously, we want to show our clubs and our club execs our appreciation for them putting in the time and effort into hosting all these events, especially during such a very unique circumstance. So we decided that we're still going to be giving out awards, but it's going to be a general award to all clubs and societies. And the reason being is throughout this whole year, there were clubs who were struggling just to survive through this unique circumstance. And there's clubs who thrived. So we thought it would be unfair and to kind of just pinpoint certain clubs who may have done really well given the circumstance. So all in all, we want to show our appreciation to all our clubs because we're thankful for all the clubs and all the execs who put their time and efforts into still serving the community and hosting events for to engage with students. So we decided that they'll all be getting awards this year instead of just pinpointing our top 5, 10 per award. Council chair recommendations. Obviously, we done that last month, and we have Nathaniel serving as council chair at the moment. Student government lunch. I know the past two execs have kind of touched on it briefly, so I won't really get into that. Club and societies awards. Oh, sorry. Yes, the new logo Carlton is hoping to get. I really encourage you guys to voice your opinions on that whenever they allow it, and let your voices be heard. Because I definitely will be voicing my opinion. Club and Societies Awards is ongoing. We're just going through the fine details, which leads us to next month where we'll be distributing the awards and showing our appreciation. Transition. Yes, we're heading into our final month in office. So just preparing our transitions to ensure that the incoming VPI and execs are well equipped with enough information, enough tools to help them succeed in the upcoming year. And then we did a VPI Q&A. I was on Instagram Live for a bit last month, so wasn't the best attendance, but it was a nice step forward. Did engage with a couple of students, and I'm looking forward to do it again, maybe next week and then the month ahead. So again, if you have any questions, any concerns, be more than happy to help. Reach out to me at vpi@cusaonline.ca or on Instagram at Frugal. Sincerely, thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Internal. Just for the council's advice, I'm having a bit of a power outage situation at my house. So if I do go dark, do be prepared to commit to a formal procedure for an interim chair. They are doing electrical work on my street here. But we will proceed. Item C, Vice President, student issues. You have the floor.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a great start to your week. Hope you could hear me. Sorry. Okay, let's get started. Past month, so there's been a lot happening this past month. So basically, as all of you should know, this month is our Indigenous celebration campaign, obviously called Minwajia. Hopefully, if this continues, I hope it will just be called Minwajia instead of saying the full name of it. But within this whole, I guess, month, we've had a plethora of events that have passed, both informative, both educational, both fun, and so forth. So first and foremost, we had a Regis project. And with that, we basically raised and donated $2,500 to the Andean Shelter and Miwashin Lodge, both being Indigenous women's shelter in Toronto and Ottawa. If you don't know what the Regis project is, I suggest you go search it out because there's been a lot of information on it and it's obviously for a really good cause as well. Moving on, last week or no, 2 weeks ago, we had our Indigenous flea market, which happened for a whole week. So like our Indigenous Business Week, huge success. There were video cameos from the CEOs of these businesses and had a wide reach of businesses ranging from student founded to local, family owned, and some provincial and nationwide businesses as well. Obviously, I do also want to mention the first event that kicked it off, which was Kathleen's Live with Alika. So really want to put that there as well. And how successful that was. And what happened there was basically discussing the protests happening. Sorry, I'm a little bit congested. Moving forward, we had our Indigenous Land Claims one-on-one with A7G, also known as the Assembly of Seven Generations. It was a discussion with special guest Gabrielle Fayant, a representative of A7G. As usual, super insightful conversation, great attendance and engagement. I would like to take this time to thank everyone who's been coming through, supporting, posting as well, because all of these events have been again going so smoothly, especially to the students at large. Moving forward, Farouk, if you could please scroll down, we had our Fried Bread Friday, which was actually done by a notable Indigenous leader and student here on campus. His name is Wolfgang, and it garnered, again, a lot of views. It's a fried bread tutorial, mostly through, obviously, Indigenous fried bread. If you haven't tasted it yet, I implore all of you to do so because it's bomb and it's really, really easy to make as well. So big shout out to him for hosting the tutorial and sharing a bit of culture as well with the students. We also have, like, throughout the month, our Indigenous Facts and Notable Figures campaign. So if you've seen some little tidbits, notably of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe community, and obviously notable figures as well throughout the whole entire nation. So a little bit of education here and there. We also had our Policing Indigenous Movements event as well. And this is where we had Professor Jeffrey, spelling mistake, Professor Jeffrey Monaghan, and PhD candidate Andrew Cosby keynote a discussion on Canada's security state and its implication on Indigenous activism and political movements. Sounds whole like academic, but it was a really cool discussion, especially if a little bit of a radicalist like me. And obviously it was cool to have Carleton faculty to help spearhead this discussion. And our last event that we had, which was last Friday, was Got Land, which is an Indigenous comedy series poking fun at white settler colonialism and Indigenous experiences. As other events, it went pretty well. Special thanks to Janelle Niles, obviously she's not here, but for hosting and helping to coordinate the event with me. If you were there, you would know the jokes were quite interesting, but it was funny as well. So really happy to have them. And the health consultations part, that's just something that I forgot to delete. Moving forward, Farouk, if you could scroll down. So there's that, but I'll talk about more the Mwangia campaign a little bit more in the month ahead. But moving forward, we have, I attended or participated in the EDI action plan photo shoot and the launch event. So I was photographed, and I also did some photography. So some of my shots are in the magazine as well. And if you check it out, you may see some familiar faces. All of them are actually on this Zoom call. So it was quite fun doing that. Following this, I attended, obviously, the launch event. I'm very happy to see this type of institutional change, especially because I and I think many others in this council meeting have been involved in, I guess, the execution, the brainstorm, and so forth of the actual action plan. If you know me, I'm pretty critical when it comes to these things, but this is something, if Carleton actually decides to fully implement, will be really great, especially for BIPOC students. So as I said, very happy to see this type of change. A few notable takeaways. So a new critical race minor is already underway and will be launched soon, most likely for the upcoming fall term. It will be in the Women and Gender Studies program under Disability Studies. So you may be able to see this by September. And I know by September because they're doing the hiring for the prof who's going to be teaching these courses as we speak. Farouk, if you could please scroll down. Following this, a new stream in engineering is being implemented, and that's women in information technology. The date for that launch is TBA, but really excited for that, especially if you know the intersection between engineering and women in STEM. And lastly, the EDI research grants are due by April 9th. So if you need more information on the research grants, just let me know. It's being done, it's basically scholarships and money, but obviously for research as well. So if you're into that, you don't need to be, I don't think you need to be a student of color to actually apply for these grants, just as long as your research actually, again, pertains to it, that would be great. These are just some takeaways that are launching now, but I would really encourage everyone to really look at the action plan because there's some really cool changes ahead. Again, if they actually choose to implement it and not let it be performative. Moving on, CUSA Comfort Kit. So I launched and completed this is in place of my personal hygiene product on the go platform point. Students were able to select from a variety of hygiene products to put into their quote unquote kit. Essentially, intentionally for portable use, the contents are supposed to pacify emergency situations. With this completion, very happy to say I've completed all my policy points. except for one of which had to be postponed due to COVID. So you could check that out. And obviously continued peer supports for students. For those of you who are peer supporters, been a very difficult year, obviously, in terms of health, mental health, and all of that. But as exams are approaching, student stress levels and mental health levels are deteriorating. So there should be some resources out there to pacify that. CFS, there's been a few meetings I've been in, just the usual, whether not really a general meeting, but little, how do I say this, consulting or working groups, if I may say, mostly have to do with Indigenous solidarity and again, their implementation and their roles in the schools and obviously racialized students as well. So anything that's of my brand. Also, this past month, I've attended a few service centers events, namely the Wellness Center and the Women's Center. Obviously, March was International Women's Month. So the service centers have been kicking ass when it comes to that. All of them, to be honest, so very happy to have participated in that. And obviously, shout out to Morgan for, doing her thing, supervising, regulating, and all of that. Lastly, not really CUSA related, but I just want to share this because I'm happy. I was recognized by CBC Ottawa as one of Ottawa's rising changemakers. I was part of the In Her Words series, which launched on International Women's Day. It was really cool and quite surprising. I was actually one of the youngest people to be recognized. So I was just like, yay. I received the news in January, but it was really nice to see everything happening. So that was cool. That was just this past month. So now moving on to ongoing projects. Farouk, if you please scroll down. So Mwanje, again, Kathleen already beautifully articulated this. I'm not going to go any further, but register now. Tomorrow is our closing event, and it's a discussion with Autumn Peltier, student activist, 16 years old, and she's already, she's doing the most in a very good way. So please come through for that. And then another ongoing project, I think Kathleen already mentioned this, but anti-oppression training revision for CUSA is within our working group, and just tying up some loose ends within that. Month ahead, we have CUSA awards. They're due April 9th. I implore literally everyone who is on this call, except for execs, to literally apply for these awards. Most of them have their scholarships, or they have monetary prizes that deal with money. So please, please, please apply for them. Just because who does not love free money? Especially, it's been a hard year. Who doesn't love to be rewarded for all their hard and resilient work? So if you have any questions for that, please let me know. Study snacks, obviously collaborating with the twin Ozzy on this. So please look out for that. Some cool prizes and cool giveaways are going to be happening really soon, or relatively soon. And then lastly, slowly but surely finishing my undergraduate degree again, because it's been a long time coming. I believe that ends my report. If you have any questions, comments, or insights, my email is vpsi@cusaonline.ca, and y'all should already know my Instagram. In solidarity, Tinu Akinwande. And yeah, that's me. Bye.
Thank you for your report, Tinu. We will now move to the Vice President Community Engagement. Morgan, you have the floor.
Hi, everyone. I really don't enjoy going after Tinu, but she just never fails to amaze me. I hope everybody's doing well. We're almost through this year, so keep pushing, and we'll get right into it. It looks way more brief than Tinu's as well. But over this past month, we went out with our third collection launch for the Capital Collective. So I know lots of people have been seeing ads and things like that, but it's just a friendly reminder that, all the profits go back to students. So if you're supporting the Capital Collective, then you're also supporting your fellow students. Thanks, Tinu. Over the past month as well, obviously there was the situation that occurred in Atlanta, which sparked the anti-Asian hate movement, I suppose. So I definitely took a bit of time to just focus on that solely. Very, very grateful that I was able to collaborate with one of the food center coordinators, Lily, and we developed this idea to have an anti-Asian hate collage to take up a permanent space on our CUSA Online like Instagram. And it's also paired with 6 steps or 6 different ways that you can be an ally for your Asian peers, and also a list of resources for any allies as well as Asian folks to refer to. It includes mental health resources, educational resources. I would say that the list of like videos and movies and shows that you can watch are all really interesting, as well as book recommendations. Honestly, anything, whatever floats your boat, but just as like different actions that you can take to be an ally for the Asian community. I also was a guest, I suppose, on the Wellness Center Instagram. We did an IG live about love languages, and that was really fun. It was about, you know, wellness and like showing wellness to yourself through love languages, as well as your relationships with other people. So that was really nice. I also attended the COVID support group by the Wellness Center at the very beginning of the month. So the COVID support groups, I would say, were probably some of my favorite monthly events to happen throughout this entire year. And I really hope that it's something that continues on in the new year, because there were regular attendees, and it really was that opportunity to just like for students to like let it all out, reflect on how our year has gone, and really support each other. As mentioned previously, I was also in attendance to the EDI Action Plan Town Hall. And well, I'm not going to repeat everything that Tinu said, but there's a lot of great things in the works. So definitely keep an eye out on those. In addition, I also attended various Minwajia events, and like I'm absolutely speechless when it comes to how well this campaign has gone. Extremely proud of Tinu and Kathleen for working so hard. They deserve like all the special shout outs for it. And I think it's something that will just like continue to grow and become a really great campaign that should be around like every year. Easily my favorite campaign for this year. In terms of my ongoing projects, I mean, we are nearing the end of our term, so it's not too lengthy, but we'll be launching the CUSA Marketplace finally on April 5th. So that'll be next Tuesday. Essentially, the CUSA Marketplace will be its own Facebook group. So we'll have a link on like ways that you can join the group. And it'll be a space to buy and sell from Carleton students only. So this group will be exclusive to Carleton students. Essentially, if you're moving out, you need to sell anything, or you're just doing, I'm literally selling everything. Like if you're doing spring cleaning, like put your stuff up here. It really is to make sure that our students feel more safe when they're buying and selling things like online. Usually you don't really know the person that you're buying or selling from. So that's why we want to keep it close to our community. In addition, it'll have more guidelines rather to, you know, make sure that your buying and selling process goes smoothly, and you're abiding COVID guidelines to make sure that you're doing it in a safe manner. So yeah. And one last event that I'm really excited for is the Speed Mingling Part 2 with Raw, which will be taking place on April 8th. Very, very excited for that. It'll be really fun. Although it is close to exams and finals, we know a lot of people are busy. We'd really like to position it as like, you know, take a couple hour breaks for from studying and chat with some people, and yeah, just have a little fun, give yourself a study break for sure. In terms of months ahead, I mean, the month ahead, just working towards that transition and graduate. So very excited for that. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me by email or on Instagram as well. Thank you.
Thank you for your report. Morgan, we will now move on to point E, Vice President, Student Life. Usman, you have the floor.
Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. I'll try to keep it short and sweet as I'm the last person to go. So COVID-19 support group, again, we're continuing this. We're hoping to end it with bang. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it. I felt like it helped a lot of people, and hopefully, the last one will be fun and a lot of people will show up for it. Risk committee meetings, that always continues for the university. We actually did our last one this month. Steering committee, I did my last steering committee homecoming meeting. On the next VPSL, we'll be continuing them. So best of luck to that. Hopefully it's an amazing homecoming 2021. Ongoing, we will again be continuing our bi-weekly wellness Wednesdays. We'll be continuing this going into exams so we can help students during those tough times. Yeah, we'll essentially continue the traction that we picked up from it, knowing how many students are impacted by it. Basically that's sort of it. Events for the final months ahead. Study snacks, Tino has mentioned it before, so I'm not going to sort of repeat it. We're going to follow the similar format as we did last semester. We'll have a few more surprises as well. So hopefully everybody loves it as much as I loved it last year. Free trial. So I began the process of my work on my last platform point. Tino and I are working on to sort of implement to her comfort packages. And the last point essentially is transition. Just working on a transition package. And my personal last point is graduation. I cannot wait to be done. My 5-year plan worked out really well. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. Again, my email is vpsl@cusonline.ca, or my Instagram, Osmanelmi. I hope everybody has a wonderful council.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. We will now move on to point 6 in our agenda. That is the RAW report. Do we have a representative of RAW present?
Yes. Hi, Nathaniel.
Hello, Jay. You are recognized. Go ahead.
Awesome. So currently ongoing for RAW, this past week we launched our residence apparel. This was an idea that came from our residence issues committee after thinking of ways we could remember this different, unique, unprecedented year in residence. And the apparel can be ordered online and you can find it on the first page of our website. And the orders close on April 4th and we'll be handing them out from the RAW office starting April 18th. Programming coming up. So we have some final programming coming up before the end of the term, one being speed mingling in collaboration with CUSA, as Morgan mentioned, on April 8th. Jenna is also working on a virtual Jeopardy for the residence community, and our residence issues committee has also been working on an online campaign to encourage students during the exam period. So stay tuned for that. It'll be on all of our socials. And the RAW election just finished up. So we have our new elects. Congratulations to Sammy, Gialina, and Mira, who will be stepping into office May 1st. We've already began working with them a bit and discussing transition and how we're going to work all that out. So looking forward to that and seeing that RAW is going to be left in good hands. That's all from me. Congratulations, everyone, to the executive, to council on a great year, and wishing you all the best of luck on your finals.
Thank you for your report. We will now be moving on to point 7 on our agenda, the GSA report. Do we have a representative of the Graduate Students Association present? I do not see a representative present, so we will move on to point 8. That is the CASG report. Do we have a representative of CASG present?
We do. How's everyone doing tonight? Hope you're getting ready for exams the next couple weeks, getting final assignments done. It's a busy time of year. So CASG had our last council meeting last Tuesday. Definitely bittersweet for me. In 2 years on the exec, it's been an amazing time. But definitely looking forward to what the next year has to bring. We actually, speaking of election results, RAW had theirs and CASG just had our results released today. I'm super proud to see 3 of my fellow exec members, they decided they wanted to take another run at it. They all got reelected. So congratulations, Jen, Vanessa, and Pierce, and Dakota, who will be joining them as VP Internal. Looking forward to working with them next year. Also, our scholarship applications will be opening up soon. They'll be open till April 31st. We have $7,500 up for grabs for community leaders, people that have really stepped up in the community and also maintain a great GPA. Thank you, Pierce. They open tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Other than that, just really getting ready to transition Jennifer into her role as president. some ongoing projects that I've got going on. Of course, the permanent grading reform that the university is still working on faculty with, and also discussions on, what flexibility options there will be for international students going into a hybrid semester in the fall. So a lot of interesting discussions that Jen's going to be able to keep going with the university when my time's done. Yeah, that's about it from us. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Matthew, for your report. We will now move on to point 9 in our agenda, the Senate report. Do we have a representative from the Senate present? Seeing none, we will move on to point 10, Board of Governors reports. Do we have a representative of the Board of Governors present? Seeing none, we will move on to point 11, constituency reports. Do we have any constituency reports? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, we will move on to point 12, committee reports. We have item A, so we will move to the Student Initiative Fund Committee for your report.
Sorry, Nathaniel, that was just a typo. Please excuse that.
All right, thank you. Moving on, we will move to point 13, items for information. Does anyone have an item for information? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, we will move on to question period, point 14. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Seeing none, we will move on to other business, point 15. We have a motion to ratify the CUSA 2021-22 general election results. I will read the motion as moved by Farouk and seconded by Kathleen. The motion is as followed. Motion to ratify the CUSA 2021-22 general election results, information transfer, whereas the CUSA general election for the 2021-22 school year was held on February 3rd and 4th, 2021. Presentation summary. Be it resolved, Council ratify the following results. President, Matt Gagne. Vice President, Vanessa Baptiste. Vice President Finance, Vanessa Baptiste. Vice President Internal, Ahmed Hashimi. Vice President Student Issues, Valentina. Vice President Community Engagement, Kelly Ogden. Vice President Student Life, Daisy Casper. Faculty of Engineering and Design Counselors, Saad Khan, Sarah Hubbard, Mohammed Faras, Grant Wilson, Liam Kelly, and Cameron Davis. Faculty of Science Counselors, Alexis St. Pierre, Greg Dance, Conla, and Patrick. Faculty of Business Counselors, Daya and Musab Chandri. Faculty of Arts and Social Science Counselors, Ahmed Bahir, Stacy, and the Faculty of Public Affairs Counselors, Noor, Lily, Jordan, Keenan, Gray, Francesca, and Emily Soa. We will now move in to a discussion period. Farouk, as the mover, you may speak first on this.
Yeah, these are just the results from the elections. The elections office did give me a statement they would like me to read on their behalf. So if you just excuse me for 30 seconds. All right. And I state, these are the official results of the CUSA general elections. There was a delay in presenting them due to the fact that the electoral and constitutional boards had to work through some appeals. These results have been approved by electoral board and now are seeking final approval from the CUSA Council. Thank you. I should also highlight this document. Green, anything highlighting green means they were previously approved. Red means they were disqualified. And that's why there was a delay in presenting the results, is because the constitutional and the electoral board were reviewing appeals for such individuals, and the turquoise or light baby blue, whatever you want to label that color, are the newly elected councillors who are replacing those who are disqualified. There's a few in the arts and social science, so there will definitely be a by-election that the upcoming VPI will be hosting. So for anyone in FAST who would like to rerun, there are some vacant positions. There was one in Eng, and that was about it. So just a few things I wanted to highlight and give a little statement on their behalf. Besides that, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. Opening up to discussion, please raise your hand if you have any comments, points, questions. Seeing none, we will move on to a vote. So a simple vote here. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. All those opposed to the motion to ratify the 2021-22 election results, please raise your hand. All those abstaining from the vote. Seeing none, this motion passes. We will now move on to point 16, which is adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Sarah. Seconded by Liam Lowe. All those in favor of adjournment, please raise your hand. All those opposed to adjournment. All of those abstaining. All right, thank you, councilors. This meeting is adjourned. Have a great day.